Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. I'm here at Balboa Park on the west side of the big park here. No museums over here. This is all just like grassy patches and benches and walkways. Places for like people who live here to just kind of like get their exercise in and enjoy the outdoors without having to deal with all the hustle and bustle of the museum side, which is full of all the tourists and whatnot. So this is for the people. anyway, um, anyways, the reason I'm here is I have finished Stephen King's The Dark Half, and last time when I finished the Tommyknockers, I came here to talk about that. So now I'm here to talk about this new one, Dark Half. Okay, what did I think about it? Well, let's just get off right to it. The rating I'm giving this on a scale of S to F, I'm going to give it a B. This is a B tiered book for me. All right, not his greatest achievement, literary achievement of all time, but it's not his worst book. It's there's definitely worse Stephen King novels. There's definitely better Stephen King novels. Just to quickly give you a quick synopsis of what The Dark Half is about. It is about an author. Go figure. Most Stephen King books are about an author. This author has a pen name, and the books that this pen name is written. Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? Thanks. This guy who he has a pen name. Sorry, I was getting had a person say hello. His dark half necessarily. His pen name writes these really kind of like gritty, mean crime novels, and they're very popular. His good half himself, his books are more like thinkers. They're cerebral. They don't do as well, and so one day what happens is somebody finds out that this guy, this kind of milk toast author, is this other dude whose name is George Stark. And that's the pen name author. They find out that he is him, and so one thing leads to another. He decides to kill off the George Stark pen name, and to do that, they like write an article about him in People magazine, and they have this faux funeral for his pen name George Stark, and fake grave and everything. And that's the end of it. And the guy's like, all right, I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna start writing. I'm gonna keep writing my kind of more high arty drama novels. And George Stark is dead. And now that people know that I'm actually George Stark, maybe they'll buy my dramas. Anyway, fast forward to a few days later, and suddenly people connected to the writer Tad Beaumont. That's his real name. People connected to Tad and George Stark that knew about George Stark start getting killed, and nobody knows who's doing it at first. But then they find out that there's like fingerprints and blood that match Tad Beaumont's, and so they're like, well, clearly Tad did it, right? And the sheriff from Castle Rock comes to arrest Tad. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I've got an alibi. I was at this party, and we had all these, there were, dozens of people at this party. They saw me all night. This murder happened, 100 miles away. There's like no way I could have gone out there, murdered this person, and come back, right? And so one thing leads to another. Eventually they figure out that Tad's pen name, George Stark, has materialized in real life and is committing these murders and trying to pin them on Tad because, surprise, George doesn't want to be dead. He wants to be alive and writing books again. So really, the kind of the whole theme of the book is, like I said, it's the dark half. So it's about this man's dual identities, right? He's got this kind of like darkness inside of himself, and he didn't like it. And the darkness is what like drove him to like drink, and kind of when he would write as George, he would kind of become another person because it technically was another person. He had a twin that was removed from his body when he was 11, and so the ghost of that twin kind of haunted him, and he would come out when he wanted to write, as George Stark, write these graphic, crime novels. And so it really is King talking about like the kind of the dual nature of being a writer. Like when in the book in the book, Tad talks about how when he is writing, he kind of feels himself going into a trance and becoming a different person, which he literally was. But it's also King talking about like you do kind of become, when you're writing, this other entity, and you have to inhabit this new world because you have to think it up, you have to create it in your mind, create who the characters are, what do they look like, what do they sound like, what are their mannerisms, what are their personalities. And it's an interesting concept of like talking about like how a writer speaks and or thinks, and really it also has another parallel to King's real life, because he had a famous pen, alter ego pen name, Richard Bachman, who he had to also kill off in the 80s when people basically found out that he was Bachman, right? And so after Thinner was done, he stopped writing as Bachman. Bachman died. And, he kind of, his initial idea when he was writing Dark Half was that it would be a co-authored book between Stephen King and Richard Bachman, right? But he was kind of convinced to not go that route, just make it Stephen King, just to completely put Richard Bachman away and just have it all be Stephen King from then on. So this does kind of, because the Bachman novels are a little more grimy and grungy than the King stuff. The King stuff is a little more cerebral, right? Whereas the Bachmans are a little more like just like pulpy and in your face. And this is a good mix between pulpy Richard Bachman stuff and the more like thinky Stephen King psychological horror stuff. Good novel, very short. Again, he wrote this after Tommyknockers, and that's kind of been the trajectory of the books, right? So there's like a big, long, thick novel, and then kind of something shorter. So like Tommyknockers was like 800 some pages, right? This is only about 500 or so. So still fairly long, but not as long as Tommyknockers, right? And before Tommyknockers was Misery, another kind of short, pulpy novel that could have easily been a Bachman book as well. And so it just, so far this feels like kind of like how it's been going. You start off with Carrie, which is very short, Salem's Lot, which is very long. Then you kind of go to The Shining, which is a little shorter, and you go into The Stand, which is like massive. And it just kind of back and forth between long, short, etc. I'm sure it'll kind of change after some time, but that's kind of where these Stephen King books have been going, this kind of alternating between quick and dirty and long epic, right? Because I think he even talked about it in some interviews, like he stays inside of these big long epic novels for so long that he just kind of wants to like regurgitate out some big some short quick thing that he can just get off of his mind real quick, right? And just get away from the years and years he spent on a giant novel, and just quickly give something that's simple to write and come up with. Okay, what am I reading next? Well, I've moved on to a Frank Herbert book. So if I haven't talked about this before, my schedule with reading is I read 3 Stephen King books, and then I read a book by a different author. And so I just finished, this is my 3rd in a row of King that I've read, so I've moved on to my next one. I'm reading Frank Herbert's God Emperor of Dune, which is the 4th book in that series. I've heard a lot of people say it's terrible. I'm about 50 pages in, and I don't think it's terrible yet, but it's not like, I'm not like, ooh, I gotta know what's happening next, right? It's okay. There's it takes place like 3,000 years after Children of Dune, and Leto the Third, basically Paul's son, Paul and Shawnee's son, he's now ascended to kind of like essentially God status, and he's merged with a sandworm, and like he doesn't have legs or feet anymore. He's got like kind of like a tail and flippers. He like travels around on like a weird like harness contraption thing. I don't know, man. there's some weird stuff in there, and there's like all these like Duncan Idaho clones everywhere. It's not bad, right? But I think people tend to think like, oh well, weird things are happening. This book must suck. I don't go there immediately, but if I'm gonna let the content of the book, like the message of the book, dictate if it's weird or not. So far, it just seems like a science fiction novel. So once I'm done with God Emperor Dune, I'll come back and I'll talk about that. But yeah, this was my this was my book review of The Dark Half. I hope you enjoyed it. Well, tomorrow is the beginning of Comic-Con. It is preview night, so I will be doing that for the next 5 days. There will be 5 days of Comic-Con vlogs. I hope you're ready for them. I hope I'm ready for them, because it's going to take me a long time to edit. So I'm going to be at the convention all day. I'm going to have to go home. I'm going to have to edit that day's footage and then upload it, because there's no way I'm going to try to do any editing at Comic-Con itself. That's madness. So I'm just going to have to like bite the bullet and like just not have any free evening time. I'm gonna have to, like, you know, as soon as the convention's done, I have to get home. I'm to edit that day's footage and move on from there. So please come back every single day. This is a daily vlog, and normally there's no like schedule or event necessarily, but because of Comic-Con, I do know exactly what I'm doing for the next 5 days, and so do you. So I thank you for watching today's video. I thank you for coming back later. And yeah, go check out the rest of my vlogs. I have some other videos that I've done on Stephen King books that I talk about them and rate them. So if you enjoyed this, go back and find those, and let me know what you think. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.